Well, today is day 2 of Xi Jinping's visit to Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin welcomed Chinese leader to Moscow yesterday as the countries seek to deepen their ties. The U.S. has said that it hopes the Chinese leader will press Putin on Russia's actions in Ukraine and urge him to withdraw his troops.
We hope that President Xi will press President Putin to cease bombing Ukrainian cities, hospitals, and schools, to halt the war crimes and atrocities, and to withdraw all his troops. But we are concerned that, instead, China will reiterate calls for a ceasefire that leaves Russian forces inside Ukraine's sovereign territory. Any ceasefire that does not address the removal of Russian forces from Ukraine would effectively ratify Russia's illegal conquests.
CBS News senior foreign correspondent Elizabeth Palmer is following Xi's visit to Moscow and is joining us from Tokyo to talk a little bit more about this. So, we know that several weeks ago, China unveiled, a peace plan proposal to bring the war in Ukraine to a close. How is this visit being framed in China?
Well, it may sound a bit Orwellian, but in President Xi's own words, it's a visit of friendship, cooperation, and peace. That's from a letter that he wrote for Russian newspapers that was published in Russian media. The Chinese Foreign Ministry is talking a lot about multilateralism and deepening cooperation. That's code for pushing back against what both Russia and China feel is the United States' overly powerful role in the world. It's not clear that President Xi is going to address very directly, or, for example, push Russia on this, on resolving the Ukraine war. But it is clear that he would quite like to come off as a statesman. He's going to talk to President Putin about it. He will go on, we think, to talk to Volodymyr Zelensky. And this is very much in keeping with China's desire to emerge as a global player of some weight and responsibility.
So, 3 days is a long time. Is this essentially more about what China will get out of it, which is, as you sort of point out, emerging as a leader, an alternative leading country on the world stage, not just when it comes to trade, but perhaps when it comes to diplomacy as well? Or can we expect any sort of clear support or condemnation for the war in Ukraine?
Probably not. I think the substance of these talks is going to be about trade, and China is going in with a much stronger hand than Russia. Russia relies more and more on China since the sanctions have really kicked in. Trade is up between Russia and China 35% last year, and both leaders have made it clear that they're committed to even more. Xi Jinping will want really good deals on energy, cut rate prices for Russia's gas, oil, and coal. And both leaders, although they won't say it outright, will want to be seen standing together. For China, that's a great big signal that it's not going to let Vladimir Putin be routed on the battlefield or see him pushed out of power, because after all, Xi Jinping's worst nightmare is that Vladimir Putin is somehow defeated and a pro-Western president takes over the Kremlin and then sides with America and Europe against China.
And perhaps by coincidence, perhaps not, Japan's prime minister is making a surprise visit to Kyiv today. What can you tell us about that?
Good question, coincidence or not. He tacked it on to a state visit to India. It seems to have been a relatively last-minute decision, but the timing looks significant. It is an expression of Japan's solidarity, not only with Ukraine, but also with the United States. He's the last of the G7 leaders to make this trip, and it really underscores the solidarity of the G7 countries with Ukraine and against Russia coming up to the G7 summit, which is going to take place in Japan this year in May.
Very interesting. Liz Palmer, thank you so much, Elizabeth.